Hello, Marty.
Hello, Mark.
How are you? I'm very well. How has your London Film and Comic Con experience been so far?
It's been fantastic, and through the fog of jet lag, it's an extra special layer of excitement.
And where have you travelled in from?
I came in from the States. I live in the Pacific Northwest, around Portland, Oregon area. Yeah, so we did that as a hop over the last day. A bit of a return trip to the airport this morning just to grab a bag. Oh, you finally caught up. You wanted to have a vacation in Iceland. I said, no, I need you here.
That old chestnut.
Yeah.
So what have you made of the show so far? Is it your first UK show?
It is, yeah. I'm very thrilled to have it as my first. It's fun.
Yeah. And meeting folks and chatting about all sorts of things.
Yeah, it's, apart from doing the thing itself, having the involvement in the Star Wars world, talking to the fans is absolutely my favorite thing. As a fan myself, I mean, I was 7 years old when Star Wars came out, and I was right in the pocket.
Yeah.
So it's lovely to share that joy.
It's funny when we're about the same age, and so when the film comes out, it grabs you as a kid, it stays with you all these years, and then you get the opportunity to be a part of it. That must be very special.
Yeah, it was having done this type of work, prosthetics and makeup and creatures and whatnot for the better part of 20 years. Finally cracking into the Star Wars world was absolutely a dream job. There's no question about it.
Tell us a bit about the work you've done prior to your work in Star Wars.
Varieties of creepy critters, but largely anything that comes to me is oftentimes through the makeup artists who I've befriended and worked with over the years.
Yeah.
You know, I commonly tell people they're typically types that they're looking for their work. They either want to be able to build something out on a thin frame that isn't overly built, or they need someone huge who can support a very heavy suit, or small torches. So I've put in my time building relationships and showing my reliability to these makeup artists as out of respect for their work. Like, my initial interest was in makeup, and I would make myself look strange for Halloween. So then getting to work with people who chose to do this as a career and really develop their craft, it's always been a joy for me to sit in their chair and observe this process happen by very talented people.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a natural thing with my temperament to be respectful of their work and not destroy it at lunchtime and eat a pizza with my face.
Gotcha.
And then also have a training as an actor to be able to bring something to their work to show it in its light.
I spoke to Rissa earlier, obviously doing the stunts and the sort of work she does, all that kinetic stuff, and that's a skill in and of itself. But there's also the performance with it. And it strikes me that folks like yourself who are patient enough, not claustrophobic enough, all the other aspects that go along with the prosthetic world, that's another skill entirely. So what, other than you mentioned frame and certain aspects, physical aspects, what else do you think you bring to it that makes you so employable, because it's not for everybody?
Very flexible eyebrows. If you can move the makeups, which typically comes down to, depending on the thickness of the material, if you have something applied to your face, how can you best animate that material to look natural? I think that as a fan of science fiction and fantasy, and then also as an actor in these makeups, I don't like to see it when I see something on TV that looks like a rubber mask.
Yeah. That's the whale.
Perfect. So I do put a certain amount of effort into paying attention to what's happening in the mirror as the makeups are going on. Once things are glued on, and see if what I'm doing translates well to makeup, and if not, making whatever adjustments are necessary to make it read well, and reminding myself that with this particular makeup I might have to do 20% more effort to vote in a reasonable way.
And I guess because you've done it for a while now, you've got relationships with these people who do the prosthetics, that when you get to a point where you feel it's not quite there, you've got the knowledge and the skill base to make suggestions, and it's a shorthand, that's what I'm trying to say. I guess you can make that work quicker.
Yeah, certainly I don't have much involvement in design, but during application, because I'm on the inside of it, we can feel what's happening, I've been able to suggest certain types of, if we need to make the fit better, or if something's getting off whack or one eye. Oftentimes there'll be two makeup artists. For the sake of timing, someone's on the right, someone's on the left, and oftentimes you can see or feel the effect. So my contribution in the middle is to even the team out and then go off with the lighting script.
So when you get the role of Vane, this thing comes along, Commander. One, it's a massive hit already, so you know you're going into something that's already a hugely successful thing,
right.
And also you're a Star Wars guy, so that's an added little tick in the box.
Right.
When you walk in for the first time, sit down with the guys, I'm presuming, I'm assuming that they sketch out what you're going to do, what it's going to look like. You're a Star Wars fan, so you kind of know what a Nikto is because of Jedi, so you've got a sense of that. So what were your thoughts when you realised for a start you're playing a classic species from Star Wars, and that must have been a blast for a start?
I was thrilled, and as has historically happened, they've been rubber pullover masks.
Yeah.
But since I've been in the business so long, I know that there are a lot of copies of my head at various shops. So I did a little research, did a little Googling, found out who the department head was, sent off an email, hello, you don't know me, but I was just cast as if you want, I could probably get him. And they said, no, we already have a copy of her head and we're sculpting because we want to see this character as a makeup.
Yeah.
So they saw the opportunity to build something special, which matched my desire to do something special. And obviously Shauna's work with her costume department, they really built a beautiful special costume.
Yeah.
And all of these things came together. There was one day when we did a full makeup application and full costume test, which historically for me has been just a small handful of people.
Yeah.
On this day, it was, I think, maybe a dozen people. They kept coming in and saying, are you ready? Because we have to coordinate all of the Zooms and the phones and whatnot. It was everyone checking to make sure that this creation was working for them. And I think that was the day that was the biggest dawning realization of the size of this, the scope of this, and the importance of the character. So I cranked it up to 11 and gave them as much as I could of the character so they could see how much the face would emote and what they could do with it, which turned out to be not kill him on the first day after all and let him live on.
Did you think he was going on the first day?
It was written as such that he was going to be one of, they were going to send off someone else. So I was the one that caused the trouble, so I was the one that was going to be eliminated. But because of all the work they put into him, I think they saw that, it would behoove them all to extend their investment.
That's fascinating because, I mean, this is something Star Wars before. I think it happened with Oscar Isaac with Poe. I think originally he was supposed to die in J.J. Locke when he saw, so they kind of kept him around. So, but with yourself, with a Nikto, as you say, in Jedi, it's a full over mask, and now you've got so much more opportunity to remote, as you say. One of the striking things about the character is the eyes. The eyes really stand out. So, you as a professional must have been thrilled knowing that whatever you did, whatever the translation of the prosthetics to the performance was, it was enough to make them go, there's something in this guy. The character and you, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely serving their makeup, and one of the things, of course, is to see, as I said, not just how it moves, but where the light's going to hit. There's a lot of material here, so doing whatever I can to make their work shine for the sake of the people whose project it is of utmost importance. And then seeing the result of it on the other side as a fan and an actor, when the show comes out, then I get to see if what I was hoping would happen.
Yeah.
With the reverse engineering on the backside of it is fun as well. But I was happy with how the character looked, and I appreciate what you said about the eyes, as I knew that's where I had the most control.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of side eye, a lot of wide eye, getting as much light into him to see what he was thinking, of course, is the best thing to watch.
And it's Star Wars, so every I mean, we know this as fans, every minuscule detail will be slavishly looked at and looked over. So from a production point of view, because you're honouring what's gone before and you want to make that work, so the two things tally up. But of course, one, you're in a massive hit show, and two, it's Star Wars, so they want to finesse the details. How much detail it's gone into, how much is it looked. You mentioned the Zoom calls to go over everything. I'm assuming they're looking at every inch of that costume and prosthetic and everything else.
Doug Chang was 2 inches from my face, just inspecting every little thing. And then on the Zoom, of course, Jon Favreau was in one. I was giving him a heaping, can I say bad words? A heaping pile of shit.
You're good.
Just kind of ridiculing him, I wanted to give them their character.
Yeah.
And let them see. Sorry, jet lag just kicked in. What were we talking about?
Oh, don't worry, we'll bounce around. It's all good. I'm just thinking that because the character is so unique in the scope of that show as well. He's a villain, but he gets plenty of face time. You kind of get a sense of what he's all about. How much were you able to bring to that? I mean, it's your performance, but how much were you able to sort of eke out these extra little bits? Because I can't now not think something you did must have really hit the nail because he was ready to go and he's not, he's still around. So what did you draw on to bring the character of Vane so vividly to life?
Well, certainly I didn't want to cover any ground that's been covered before in other pirate type realms or franchises. There's obviously going to be some amount of similarities. Obviously, Vane is a penchant for the spirits, just in the wrong geography. But yeah, with the voice, the only thing that I was told was he was British and he's a pirate, and I was given the sides for the shootout. So it was up to me to come up with a voice. I don't think they had any notes on that. What I did was fine. A lot of the character came out in the blocking rehearsal after the audition. I mean, they clearly liked what was happening there, so I just based it after my foundation.
Yeah. And
then on the day, they're making sure more that there's consistency, not a lot of shift in character performance.
Yeah.
So as long as what I was doing was consistent with what I'd done, that seemed to be fine for everyone. And then it's just more a matter of navigating what they know of where they're going, which isn't what I know. I know what I'm doing now because that's all they tell you. You get pieces of paper for what you're doing at the moment. So the holders of the larger vision will kind of guide you along that path in direction.
And do you prefer that? I mean, as a fan, do you prefer just knowing your bit? Because in life you only know your bit really, and then you can sit back at the end 6 months, 8 months, 9 months later and watch it with family and go, well, there it is.
That is a difficult one. In doing the work, it is very beneficial to only know what your character knows. And I recognize that, and I also hate it, because as a fan, I really do, and well, also a writer, a photographer, an editor, and I like to know the scope of things.
Sure.
So there is a desire to want to know A to Z, of course, but no, I'm quite satisfied just knowing what I know and trying to dispense with the rest and see it. Because then I get no spoilers other than the ones I'm in.
And you can't spoil things if you don't know it. So
they could put me in the screws and I wouldn't give up an inch.
He returned, he came back.
He did.
We saw him later, so it seems that he's kind of got his own little gang going on by the second time in the little gang. He's got his own gang when we see him the second time, as long as they're useful. He's like, well, they're not useful for very long, are they? And once they die, exactly. And so you must have been thrilled when the call comes to bring this character back, because any long-running show, and we're only 3 seasons in really, but it's been on for 5 years, so it's got some tenure now. Anytime you can return a fan favourite character, be they a good guy or a bad guy, and I'm sure Vane sees himself as completely the good guy.
Of course,
it must way in the world. Yeah, it must be fun to be able to come back and just flesh out even more and add even more layers to a character.
It's a dream scenario. Most of what I've done, by nature of what it is, it's a single episode experience.
Yeah.
And then it's gone. Occasionally others, Evil has some extensions, but this character in particular, I think is probably one of the longest I've played. So yeah, it's delightful to be able to explore that. Something like that. There was a better follow-up that I had for you on jet lag. Got me again. Yeah, it is lovely to be able to play it for a long period of time.
Yeah, because as I say, there's villains in Star Wars. There's your peak villains, there's your Vaders and Emperors and characters like that. And then you kind of can, because it's been around for so long, 47 years, you can work your way down to the street level characters. It's a bit like Marvel, isn't it? You've got guys like Thor, your street level guys like Daredevil, and there's everybody in between. And Star Wars is kind of the same. And Vane, you would kind of think he feels like a street level villain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the fact that they're giving him a little bit of a light, it's fun. It was a treat finding out that you would get to come back and then have the opportunity to explore it more as that kind of like just a scrubby little whoever he is. In the sense that Andor also appealed to me, it was very much man on the street within this realm that we didn't always get to see. It was always these heightened, important characters. And I adore that you can bring as much importance as you want to any strata if the writing is good,
Yes.
the development is good. So yeah, as long as they want to see what this opportunistic pirate, how he can squeak out of the next little tricky situation, I'm down to explore that.
It feels like his life is continuous little just nudging out.
He's just smart enough. He's just a good enough pilot. He just can't quite catch a break, but he's catching enough of a break to not die.
Yes.
He's in a sweet spot, really.
That's all we can hope for, any of us.
I think so. He's eking away.
He will be back again. We can't talk about it, but you must be thrilled.
We can talk just enough because I was here for Celebration to see the teaser trailer that acknowledged and confirmed that yes, he is going to land over in, shall we say it, Skeleton Crew, which we don't know when it's coming out, but word around the campfire does seem to indicate it will be this year. Yeah. In what capacity? Don't know, but we can assume he's consistent.
He's the good guy now. He's the good guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's become soft and cuddly.
Like all Nick Toes did it.
It's only a matter of time.
And that must have been fun. I mean, different people who put that, not completely different people, but different folks involved, different cast involved.
Yeah.
To see him bounce off different characters, from what we know about Skeleton Crew, younger characters, must have been, again, it's more fleshing out. It's another interesting aspect.
Yeah, and at the time, all I knew is all kind of what we know now. Jude Law, kids, John Watson, Christopher Ford at the helm, which thrilled me to no end to see what they did with the Tom Holland Spider-Man films that they put together. Obviously, their love of 80s cinema.
Yeah.
John Hughes films obviously came into the Spider-Man things. What's been said on the internet, I can say seems to match what I was seeing them do. They have I think it's described as like kind of a Goonies and Star Wars space inherent in the kid casting, but also kind of in the love of the feel that they're putting into this peril / is it really peril? I don't know. But yeah, pirates, kids, Star Wars space, and those guys at the helm. We felt like we were in a good place to both explore and kind of homage the 80s films that we did.
It sounds like a great mix because we've got Acolyte now, and that's its own thing. And we've got Andor, you just mentioned that's another tone and entirely. Mando's its own tone, and it feels like Skeleton Crew's going to be its own tone. It's nice to have all these different flavours in Star Wars now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You can craft and maintain a broad audience. You know, I see a lot of the criticisms out there on the internet of certain franchises. How can you though? It's all Star Wars, and as you said, there's something for everyone. Whether age bracket or interest level. So I'm always excited to see more Star Wars things. We've got to all be fans, or like, what are we doing?
Exactly. It's here to love, isn't it? That's the whole point.
Absolutely.
And so, finally, before we go back to your signing booth, it's Friday as we speak. Saturday will always traditionally be really busy at lunchtime. Are you ready for the rush?
I'm going to get, let's hope for a solid 12 hours of sleep tonight, and then I will be absolutely ready tomorrow.
So you're an optimist?
Yes, at heart.
Brilliant.
And if not, coffee as my support system.
Coffee is everyone's support system.
Perfect.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it.